can't believe I've been bamboozled. For the past 3.5 years, I've been told to wear this mask to the gym and when I run and when I go to work and when I go to bed. And now I found out from the news, from the mainstream media that never lied to me, that this mask and actually, and now they've had to get rid of the. I mean, come on, I thought the media loved me. I thought the government cared about me. I thought Biden had the best intentions for my life, and now I find out that it's all been a big, giant lie. Oh, thank God. Now I can take off this stupid mask and talk to you guys seriously. I mean, it's crazy, isn't it? For the past 3.5, 4 years since 2020, since this whole pandemic played out in the mainstream media, we have been lied to so much that no one really knows what to believe anymore from the government, the world governments, not just the U.S. government, but every single world government in the world. What do we actually? What is the truth anymore? Because they told us that it's going to stop. They even admitted it in themselves. The WHO, Bill Gates, Fauci, they went back and forth admitting that it doesn't do anything. But of course, we're it because you're the slave and we're the masters, and we're going to tell you what to do. And then they told us that they were working on the vaccine really, really fast. And Trump, who, despite his conservative views, however compromising they are, went in all for the vaccine, and it was he didn't force it, but under Biden, they forced it, and they had millions of people get in trouble. Thousands, tens of thousands lose their jobs. People with their conscious conscience, they wanted to quit. Even I had to work in places where I wouldn't wear this stupid piece of garbage that didn't do anything.
The AstraZeneca COVID vaccine is being withdrawn worldwide after the pharmaceutical giant admitted it causes a rare and dangerous side effect. AstraZeneca admitted the claims in court documents lodged in February. Parent company Vaxzevria has come under intense scrutiny in recent months over a rare side effect which causes blood clots and low blood platelet counts. AstraZeneca told the court that it can, in very rare cases, cause clots in the kidney.
I feel secure in my decision.
I don't know the long-term effects.
I opted to take the unpaid leave.
Karen Roses is a patient care technician at a New York hospital. Rob Erbst, a married father of 3 boys, spent 17 years at a New York City high school as a phys ed teacher. Raquel Martinez is a pediatric occupational therapist. They all reached the same conclusion about vaccine mandates. Why did you decide to put your livelihood on the line?
I felt like I didn't have much of a choice in the matter, that I was being forced to do something.
And so for so many years we were lied to, just constant lies. Just like in Soviet Union where I came from, it was like the Pravda, all the mainstream media. There were Operation Mockingbird, Pravda news machines telling us, oh, wear the mask, take the vaccine, it's going to save, you're selfish if you don't take it. And it was basically the banality of evil that was represented in the common people that were making everybody else feel ashamed for not taking the vaccine or wearing the mask. And now we find out from AstraZeneca, as you saw in the clip, that it's actually. And this is like so disgusting. It is so evil. I mean, I was livid when this happened back in March of 2020. I was living in Missouri, very conservative state, and I wouldn't wear the mask. I refused it because I knew that it was all a setup. I knew from alternative media sources that the truth was that it wasn't as dangerous as they said. Yes, it's a real flu. I got it. You know, my friends got really, really sick from it. But again, when you had they help people get back on their feet, but because the U.S. government didn't let that happen, they banned it in certain states. Probably close to hundreds of thousands of people, if not millions, or at least led and now they're finally coming out and admitting it. I mean, this really is so evil. It ticks me off so much because it is absolute evil is what they've done. And finally, all the companies, because they were all protected by the US government, because the US government made exceptions, all of these big pharma companies, now they come out and say, "Oh, sorry, my bad. We shouldn't have of this video is that they weren't through the mRNA platform, which was invented by Robert Malone." And Robert Malone went on Joe Rogan's show and a lot of shows, and he was hated by the U.S. government. And he said that, yeah, this technology shouldn't have been used, to give this. It was to create mass psychosis to everybody, create fear, and then they sold it as though if you don't take it, you can't go to work, you'll be fired. Navy SEALs refused to take it. I remember I listened to some interviews and watched some interviews of pastors like Jeff Durbin fighting for the SEALs and other people where they came to them to get help from the U.S. government, and so a lot of SEALs quit their job, Special Forces community, because a lot of the regular military, not everyone in the military, of course, but a lot of them took the but the special forces community knew that their bodies were healthy and fine. They didn't need to take something that was. So the whole thing has been a big giant farce, and we were all lied to so for so long, and that everyone lost their faith. Almost everyone lost their faith in the government, but there's still Americans who believe that this thing is good for you. I mean, it is so stupid. When I was running and working out outside at the park, I saw people running with this stupid thing on, and I was like, how can you even run with that? How is that good for you? People got sick from wearing this stupid cloth mask that didn't do anything. So it just showed you that the devil was deceiving so many people, and he was using the US government to do that. And one of my other points I wanted to make is that a lot of people think that if they were in Nazi Germany, they would be like Schindler's List. That they would be like Schindler, who owned a huge giant business, and then he saved the Jews, didn't go along with Hitler. Everyone thinks they would be like Schindler, and they would save the Jews and underground. But that's a few of Germans. I mean, yeah, a few thousand. I don't know how many more, but there were Germans who saved the Jews and Polish people, Christians, of course. So thousands of people did help save the Jewish people from the Nazis, who blamed everything on the Jews and the Slavs. I'm Slavic, Ukrainian. So it's like, it doesn't matter. People blame each other for sinful things. But what I'm saying is that, like, everyone thought that, or thinks that they are going to be standing up against Hitler, yet we had a Hitler-like or Stalin-like or Mao-like operation happen in 2020. And see, this message is not just for, the political news, but it's for Christians, because as a Christian myself, I knew this whole thing was a lie. From the beginning, I knew that God put an alarming flag in my spirit from the beginning, that even though this was a real flu, people got sick, that the response was overbearing, that it was communistic, and I came from an ex-communist country, so I hated how the federal government, and even under Trump, he failed, and he believed that the people that told him all these stuff about shutting down the government, he wanted to do it for 2 weeks, but then he kept listening to his people on staff, which are globalists and traitors. But the thing is that all of these people shut down the government, and then the regular people in America followed along like lemmings. And I remember watching this documentary called Letters to the American Church, and this Christian guy made it. I forgot his name, and he said that there was a bunch of people interviewed. There was like Charlie Kirk, who's a Christian political commentator, and they were saying, like, these Christians were cowards, the ones who didn't stand up against Hitler, because there's only a few thousand churches out of like 13,000 or something like that stood up, and that's pathetic. I mean, you would think that in the Bible, you read all the stories of heroes of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Daniel, Nehemiah, all these heroes who stood up against evil powers, even Moses against the Egyptian government, they stood up against these evil powers. And you would think everybody in the Christian world would do that, but they didn't, because people didn't want to lose money, didn't want to lose prestige, didn't want to lose position. And so the same thing happened in 2020 until recently, is that people didn't want to lose money, prestige, and position. And so they didn't say anything, or they went along like lemmings and like sheep. And it's sad, because Christians went along with it too, and they took that the Holy Spirit showed me that it wasn't real, and I knew that the globalists rushed it out, and then using Fauci as the shark to get everyone into the infested waters of this device. So the thing is that the devil used all of these people to deceive Christians, not only Americans and the world that shut down, even Israel. The Israeli government made its own people take the its own Jewish people took. It's evil. It's literally like the repeat of what Hitler did to them, yet they repeated the same thing under Netanyahu. So it's like, how can all world governments submit to it? And the regular people, the Jews, the Ukrainians, the Arabs, the Russians, the Americans, the Chinese, we all suffered under it, because we're not in government power. We don't have the power to do these things. But even if we did, how many of us would actually have discernment, would actually have the true facts and the true knowledge of what this whole to the global elites, and then to shut down the world government, to rebrand the world government according to the World Economic Forum. So even though this is a channel that talks about evangelism and current events, I have felt like I needed to make this video too, to update everybody that this whole thing was a lie. They used the real events, they augmented it, and then they gave them the and like Cuomo talked about, which here's the clip showing him.
People who are injecting drugs for animals and horse.
And people telling them to. Oh my God. What person? You talk about cancel culture and who to shame. Ivermectin, a dewormer, really?
They are shaming themselves. No one has to shame them. They're shaming themselves.
No, they need to be shamed.
Yeah.
They need to be called out and shamed, brother.
I'll tell you something else that's going to get you a lot of hits. I am taking a, what do they call it? Like a regular dose, whatever. They're trying to build up of ivermectin. Ivermectin was a boogeyman early on in COVID.
You couldn't talk about it.
That was wrong. We were given bad information about ivermectin. The real question is why? Everyone's going to say Joe Rogan was right. No, Joe Rogan was saying, yeah, he was right. But that's not what matters. What matters is the entire clinical community knew that ivermectin couldn't hurt you. They knew it, Patrick. I know they knew it. How do I know? Because now I'm doing nothing but talking to these clinicians who at the time were overwhelmed by COVID, and they weren't saying anything.
So the thing is that you have all of these people that lied, that gaslighted us, and they never apologize. And that's another thing that is so evil, it's so psychopathic. That people who serve the devil, they're so selfish, they're so into themselves that even if they are proved to be wrong, they never come out and say, hey, I was wrong, please forgive me. I'm so sorry, I shouldn't have been telling on the news for you guys to... pandemic, is I took that in order to not get sick, or when I did get sick, I took it to get healed as fast as I could. So, but why don't they apologize? See, why don't they come out? Why don't Chris Cuomo, who's on another podcast now, supposedly conservative podcast, why is he just like, oh, I didn't know. Yeah, he knew. He actually told everybody that the horses and for animals, it wasn't for humans. He was a total liar, total psychopath. And so you have all of these people telling everybody how to live their lives because they want us to be slaves. And that's what the devil does. The devil makes everybody a slave to sin because you're giving into your own pleasures, desires. You think this is great, but in reality, you don't realize you're being led down a road of slavery. And that's why when the founders made America, they understood that the government is a tyrant, and so it has to fear the people, because if the people fear the government, they become under slavery. And so the people needed God to free them, have God as their government, and the government needed to be their slaves. But now it's the complete opposite. America's back in its revolutionary days, pre-revolutionary days. We don't know when and if the Revolution 2.0 is going to kick off. People have been talking about it, but the thing is though, we're back in these days where the government is a slave. King George III is Biden, and the deep state and the CIA, and so you have the same thing. People are not lost; they're lost without Jesus Christ. They're obeying whatever the mainstream media tells them, and nobody apologizes. Nobody said, "Hey, I was wrong. I led to..." If they did, they would feel horrible. They would probably, without Christ, they would be guilty, and they would have to go to prison if they actually all admitted it. But they won't, and so they keep going from one sinful act to another. And I want to help you guys understand that. Don't listen to to government. Don't listen to media. Don't even just listen to me. Listen to the Bible. Listen to God. Have a relationship with Jesus Christ, where the Holy Spirit can tell you what the truth is, because I know that for me and my Christian friends who listen to the Holy Spirit, we knew that this whole after the whole COVID debacle happened, and I knew that this would harm me. And I know my friends have taken it and they haven't been harmed. Maybe you watching have taken. Praise God. I prayed for people that they wouldn't be harmed from this, but there are so many people that have been. Just newscasters, sports people, young people like me. I'm 32 years old, people my age. This is all in the public sphere. But the problem is that this, and my final point is that this is the lead up to the Antichrist. This is the lead up to the beast system, because when the beast system comes online, it's going to be wrapped up under health and under wealth and under improving yourself, and everybody who's not in the beast system is a criminal. They're a terrorist, so arrest them or kill them. Or those Christians that they're telling you to not worship the Antichrist in the government and the new system that's going to come online. Well, get rid of them. They're your enemies. That's exactly what happened during. This is a precursor to the Antichrist system. It's coming, guys. It's almost here. I can feel it. I can taste it in my spiritual taste buds. The beast system is here, and we cannot go along with it anymore, because they're literally lying to our faces every single day. Every single day, the devil has a mouthpiece and he lies to you. And the only way to counteract that is with the Bible, with the foundation of all truth, God's truth, and having a personal relationship with Jesus Christ. Because without it, you're going to fall for the next AI intelligence, artificial intelligence lie that's going to be sold, that's going to look real. I mean, it's going to get even harder to discern these things. Jesus even said the elect might be deceived. And there was a lot of Christians who, unfortunately, that I knew and I talked to, that got deceived by the. And then they realized, oh yeah, maybe I shouldn't have. But the thing is that, again, it's not like I've committed some mortal sin or anything. It's just that if it gets harder. The more we get into the end times, a lot of these mistakes that used to be kind of like, oh, okay, I took a. Now it's going to get harder to really live as a Christian, because we have to question everything. We can't just trust the government just because they give us. It's like, okay, they mean it for my own good. We have to question everything. We have to go to God about everything that we're being told in the media, the government's telling us, our friends tell us. We have to go to God, because without going to God, we can really hurt ourselves. And the next mistake can cause death. It can cause us to miss God's call and purpose for our lives. So that's why it's important that for everybody to understand that it's going to get tougher to be discerning in the next globalist phase of this new world order. So I really urge you guys to to go back to Jesus Christ, go back to God, really ask God to speak to you, give you wisdom, to reveal to you all truth, because Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father but through me. So if Jesus is the truth, he'll reveal to you the truth about next cyber attack that they're going to do, the next World War III. So God's going to show you the truth of what's happening. So thank you guys for really listening to this, because I knew that in my heart, I knew this whole thing was a lie. I mean, there's so many people on YouTube, online, alternative media guys have been telling us for 3.5 years. People listen to them, but it only took like so. I mean, people have to go to prison. There has to be tribunals. There has to be people have gone. You have to be. I don't know who's ever going to put these people into prison or military tribunals, but it has to happen. If it doesn't, God's going to have to step in, because it just seems like this evil is just getting worse and worse, and more people are dying because of how wicked the governments of the world are. So, guys, I really urge you, stick close to Jesus, stick close to the Bible. Make sure you really seek God with all your heart, and not take things into your body, your temple of God, that they tell us to do because of fear. Because a lot of people submitted to fear, and when you submit to fear, you submit to the devil. I mean, the devil traffics in fear. He traffics in temptation and deception. And so we can't submit to the fears of the totalitarian world system that's developing. We have to pray against it, because God hears our prayers. Me and my Christian friends were praying for this next election. We're praying that God brings in righteous conservatives and Christians into office for as long as America's got left, because we don't have a lot of time left. We barely have any time left, and it's by the grace of God that God hasn't destroyed us for our crimes of murder and abortion and homosexuality. But the thing is that we need to pray that God puts in the right people and that justice is done, because if it's not done, we're definitely losing this country, and people are going to lose their lives. Millions of people are going to lose their lives physically and spiritually. They're going to end up in hell, because Christians are not speaking truth. They're not speaking the gospel. They're not waking people up about what's happening. Churches are being silent. A lot of churches submitted to the know it, because I went to these churches. Not that I attended there. Maybe I just once, but I knew that they were submitting to scared their congregation. I mean, even famous Christians scared their congregations. It's evil. It's messed up. And we cannot listen to leaders, whoever, the government or churches. I mean, you see how corrupt these mega churches pastors are. I mean, I made a previous video about it. So I urge you guys, listen to God, go to Jesus Christ. Find wise counsel that actually prays and listens to God's voice, and not to the government or to some pastor that manipulates everybody else in fear. So thank you guys for listening to this, and spread this message. Let everyone know that that they just revealed the truth in the mainstream media. The mainstream media that lied to us revealed the truth, and it's time to not kowtow to fear and live in the courage that only Jesus Christ can give us. God bless you.